Hello everyone, Facebook Live. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching the replay of this video right now, which you probably are because I just started the live version of this, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for spending time. I'm excited for you to learn about the new Sprout Studio workflows. We're going to talk a little bit about it for a few minutes, and then I'm going to hop right into Sprout, and you're going to get to see it in action. In all of its glory. It has been quite the project here at Sprout, and we're really excited to have this in your hands. Now, before I actually get into it, I'm going to refresh my devices here to make sure that I can see that we're live, that everything is working well, and that we're good to go. Okay, I can see it here. If you're watching me live right now, leave me a little comment, say hello, let me know that you're there. Maybe let me know what are your hopes and dreams and expectations for the new workflow tool in Sprout. Would love to hear what your thoughts are maybe before we get going. I know that back in the springtime, I did hop on live and show you guys sort of a preview of the design that we were thinking. At that point, it was still just a UI mockup. It wasn't actually built or working or anything like that. It was just a mockup. There has been a lot of changes to it. There's been a lot of expansion. The tool itself has undergone a lot of changes, and we are just ramping up for launch now. So as a part of that, I go live here. I get to say hello, demo you an actual full working version of the tool. So I'm excited for you to check that out and see what that's all about. One of the things that I recognize, let me just look at the comments here and see who's here. Scott, what's going on? Cody, Vernon, Aaron, Jeff, excellent, cool, love it. Got a handful of you guys here. Again, if you're watching live, feel free to let us know what you're thinking. Let us know as I go through here and show things to you. As you know, we always build things iteratively here at Sprout. We're always listening, and so what you see today may not be the end product that you'll end up getting, although I guess it'll be the first version of it because we're just around the corner from launch. I will say now I'm not going to tell you a launch date in this video today specifically. It will be in the coming weeks, I can tell you that, but I'm not going to say the specific date yet because there's a lot that goes into planning for a big production push like this, and so I'm not going to make a promise on that until we have the actual sure date, and of course when we have that we will let you know. But as we go through here, as you see things that you're like, hey, love that, feel free to leave a comment on that, feel free to give a thumbs up, a heart, whatever. As you go through and you're like, hey, they hadn't thought about this, like I would love to see this, we'll just love to hear your feedback, both the pros on what you're seeing that I'm showing you today that you love, but also on some of the things that you're like, hey, I think that there's even more opportunity here to make this better. We'd love to hear from you either way. So the other thing that I'll share, and maybe I'll just kind of like start this as a sort of like foray into showing you workflows here. One of the things, actually, hang on, I do have a question here, Lewis. I'm seeing it. Before we start, will this be a hard transition, or will we be able to choose? So the nice thing is that it is automatic. So all of your workflows are already going to be working in the new workflow builder. So there's nothing for you to do. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to migrate anything. You're just automatically going to get the new builder. And then you can just make your workflows more powerful with all the new tools that we built for you. So nothing will change. Nothing will be affected. Existing workflows that you've applied will not be affected. Workflow templates that you have will just be ported into the new system. Everything will work as is. Nothing is going to go, nothing's going to change there. So yeah, good news on that end of things. Okay, so one of the things that was our sort of hope with this project is that we wanted to make workflows more accessible. That was like the number one goal for us, because workflows, even as they are now, workflows in any tool, any kind of automation in any tool that you're using can be powerful, but also can be very scary. It can be very overwhelming. It can be a little bit unnerving to know that all these things are just happening automatically in your business, especially when it comes to dealing with your clients, communicating with your clients, sending things to your clients. And so a lot of photographers we've found, and this is like shown both anecdotally from our support team and talking to photographers that use Sprout, but also from a quantitative standpoint when we look at the metrics of how photographers are using Sprout. One of the things that we recognize is that workflows are one of the most powerful tools that we have, but also one of the most underutilized tools that we have, because it can just be really overwhelming to get in there and start using workflows. And so that was sort of like the entry point for where we started, is that we wanted to make workflows feel less scary. We wanted to make workflows feel like it was easier to work with, it was easier to manage, they were easier to understand. It was simpler to sort of just walk through building out a customer journey, and easier to work with, easier to edit, easier to view, easier to see a snapshot, all of that. So we started there. That was sort of like the first thing, and we probably went through 7 or 8 different visualizations of that, different UI and UX experiences for how that actually happens. All of this also supporting old workflows. That's always the kicker. If we were building from scratch, it's different, but there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of workflows currently in production. And so we can't just not support the old ones. So we had to support old ones while also building new tools. So that was the first sort of like mission that we had. The first hope, the first goal is that we wanted to make workflows easier to work with. And that meant 3 things. There's 3 things I'm going to show you, and you're going to see, and you're going to learn here as I show it to you. 1, they're going to be easier to design and to create a workflow. So you're going to be able to get in and start building a customer journey for your clients with a lot more ease. That's the first thing. Number 2, it's going to be easier to edit and refine workflows. So as you know, if you're using Sprout right now, once you've built out a workflow, even if you can sort of get your head wrapped around that, hopping back into a workflow and trying to edit it and move things around and do all that and refine it can be a lot. Admittedly, can be a lot. So that's the second goal that we had in making workflows easier to work with. And then number 3, having a snapshot of what was happening in a workflow. We wanted that to be really clear, so that as soon as you open the workflow up, we wanted it to be like, oh, okay, I understand exactly what my client is getting, exactly what this experience looks like by looking at this workflow. So those were our 3 hopes and goals and visions and dreams when we first started planning out workflows, is that we wanted to make it easier to edit, easier to design, and then easier to see sort of that 10,000 foot high perspective of what's going on. That's the first part. I think we honestly, the team absolutely crushed that part. So I'm super excited to show that to you. Let's walk through 4 more things that you're going to get in workflows, the new workflows. Number 1, workflows got more powerful. I'm going to show you how I got more powerful, but workflows got more powerful. For our power users in the room, you're going to love that. There's a lot of things that we built in for power users, yet at the same time, we made things really simple so that if you're not a power user, it doesn't feel overwhelming. That was really important for us. It's always this balance of how do we make tools that are really robust and complex and powerful, yet at the same time, how do we make tools accessible for everybody? So that was sort of the second goal we had here. Number 3, we made it so that you can have actions. You can be sort of running things and sending emails, having tasks, questionnaires, whatever, either in parallel, so at the same time, or in sequence. That was really important because there's a lot of use cases where you're going to want to run things in sequence. Do this, and then when that's done, do this, and then when that's done, do this, and when that's done, do this. That's currently how workflows work. However, there is a big use case for photographers wanting to run things in parallel. Hey, when this happens, do these 5 things all at the same time. And with the current version of workflows, that just isn't possible. And so that was a big part of what we wanted to build in workflows. So we did that. The 4th thing is that we wanted to build an ability for you to double check things before they go out. So instead of an email just automatically going out and then all of a sudden you get a reply from your client and you're like, shoot, I didn't mean for that to go out, or you forgot to do something, or it went out and it just wasn't appropriate for the timing and you didn't have a chance to intervene. So we built a way for you to go back and double check things if you want before they go out, which is awesome. And then number 5 are conditional actions. So we built the ability for you to have certain steps or certain parts of your workflow be conditional. So you can say, hey, only do this thing if it's a wedding. Only do this thing if they've purchased over $1,000. Only do this thing if they've seen the booking proposal. Only do this thing if they're in this city, like whatever the case is. So you can do those kinds of things. And again, a lot of those are for power users. I know I saw a question here about what's a power user. Power user is someone that just really wants to kind of roll their sleeves up, get in and get technical and get into the nitty gritty and just find every corner of Sprout. And they really use Sprout to its fullest extent, which are amazing. We love power users because we build really great tools for power users. But we also recognize that actually the vast majority of photographers are not power users. So we're always trying to serve both power users that want great, robust flexibility and tools with the everyday user that doesn't want to get overly technical. So that's kind of how we have to balance that. So that is what has changed in workflows. Now, the bonus thing that I want to tell you about, and this is something that I've personally been spending a good deal of time on over the last week and a half, is how do you map out the kind of experience that you want to give your clients before you start using the workflows tool. That's the biggest thing. And I think that's really important because no matter how easy the tool is to use, and again, you're going to see in a moment, the tool is great and super easy to use. But regardless, it's very important for you to take some time and actually planning out the kind of experience that you want to be giving your clients on paper first. Because if you can get clarity on that, because that's a strategic approach to things, as opposed to just like hopping in a tool and using the thing. If you know what you want to do because you've given time to think through it first, your workflows will be so much more intentional, built with so much more purpose, and be so much more applicable and relevant for your business. And so we've actually created some resources for you, including video tutorial, a fillable PDF that you can download and fill out yourself on how you can actually walk through building a customer journey like on paper, how you can figure out what you want to be doing for your clients. We have this fill in the blank template that you fill out. And then in that video and in that help doc, we actually help show you how do you go from this thing that you mapped out pretty on paper to like a tool, to building it in Sprout in the new workflow tool. So that's a big part of us trying to make it more accessible, is like, let's get you building this thing on paper, and then let's take that and transpose it into Sprout. All that being said, who's ready to see the new workflows? I'm ready to show you the new workflows. So let's hop in. Let me just look at some of the comments. While you guys tell me how excited you are to actually hop in and see the new workflows, I'm just gonna read the comments here and see what is going on, see if there's any comments I need to pay attention to. Christine is so excited. Conditional workflows. Scott, you're jacked for that. Conditionals for schedulers. Yes, Gabby, there are. I see a lot of yeses. All right, cool. A lot of people excited. Peaceful pastures. Nice. Okay, incredible. You guys are excited. Let's jump into this. Let's show you the first preview of the new workflows. All right, here we are. So I'm in the lead workflows section. This part obviously hasn't changed. You're familiar with this. You know what this looks like. We have lead workflows. We have shoot workflows. I'm going to go ahead and build a new lead workflow. And so this is the new workflow builder. Now, there are going to be a couple small things. I'm going to acknowledge right now that this is a production or a non-production version of Sprout, so things are going to be a lot slower on here. And there are going to be some small tools that we have, like for example, you're seeing this little wizard hat, which is a tool that we have for admin stuff. You're not going to see that in the actual version of Sprout, but just pointing that out because you're like, what is that thing? Okay, let's walk through how do you create a workflow. So there's 3 steps to build a workflow in Sprout, and this is sort of like what I'm going to walk you through right now. We're going to build a wedding workflow for this one here. So wedding workflow. The first step is to add a milestone. Now, a milestone is basically an important thing, an important event in a client's journey. So this are things like, hey, like when I first apply the workflow, or when the client inquires, or when I send a booking proposal, or the actual date of the shoot, or whatever it is. So that is what a milestone is. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the first one, which is add a milestone. Now I can add as many milestones here as I'd like, and it kind of organizes them all here in these little sections. So again, it's really easy to flip through, to look through, to understand what's going on as you build out your workflows here. So let's go inquiry date. So we've added the milestone. That's the first step. The next step is to add a time slot. Now, a time slot is an amount of time in relation to the milestone where you want something to happen. So if I click add time slot, I can just say, hey, like as soon as they inquire, do this thing. Or I can say, hey, 1 week after they inquire, or 1 hour after they inquire, or however I want that to be built. I can just say, great, 1 hour after the inquiry, then go ahead and do these things. And now that brings me to step number 3, which is to add an action. So I might want to add an email or a task or a questionnaire. You're going to see some things here that are new. So schedulers, you can attach those to workflows now. Booking proposals, you can attach those to workflows. Contracts, you can attach those to workflows. So you can automate all of those things as well in your workflows. So if I just go send email, Now I can choose an email here, and just going to, whatever, choose this one right here. And that then sends that email. Now I may want to do something else. So this is kind of where I have that parallel task. I can create another task here that says, check out this thing. And this is just a task, a reminder for myself. These two things are going to happen in parallel. So as soon as the 1 hour after the inquiry date comes up, this email will be sent and this task will be popped into my dashboard for me to actually do. So you can see here already how this is more powerful than the existing workflows, yet in my opinion, it looks a lot cleaner and feels a lot simpler to work with. What is really neat about this is I talked about the conditional actions, or sorry, the approval part earlier. So sort of the idea of double checking before they go out. If I open up this show advanced settings section here, I can check this off here, require approval first. And if I check that, it's going to indicate here, first of all, but before this email goes out, it's going to show up on my dashboard and just sort of like note to me or notify me, hey, this thing's going to go out, but it's not going to go out until you give it the go ahead. So until you press go, this email will not be going out. So that builds that kind of security, that kind of comfort in for those photographers that want to double check things before they go out, or that aren't super familiar or super comfortable with automating things just by default. So you have that ability to do that here. Now I noticed here that there was a question, can you add a condition? So blah, blah, blah. Yes, you can. So if I go in here, if I remove that and I click condition here, this is now where I can say, okay, well, I want the condition of this email to go out. I want the status to not be whatever, booked, or I want the status to be booking or on hold or new. And so I can add that as a condition. So this email will only go out if the status is new. Otherwise, this will not go out at all. So again, you can build that and you can make that as robust and as flexible as you want, or you just don't use it at all. You hide the advanced section and keep it nice and simple. So we've kind of tried to serve both of our users, both those that are power users and want that kind of control, and for users that just want something nice and simple to work with here. I'm seeing some questions about something being made longer. I'm going to maybe come back to that or have the support team watch through this because I'm seeing a couple people ask that. So I'm going to ignore that and try not to. I'm not ignoring you, but I don't have an answer for that right now in this live. So I'm going to not answer that right now. So there's that right here. Now let's add another time slot. So I can now add something maybe 1 week after. So 1 week after, maybe now I want to change the status. So I can click change status. I can choose what I want to change it to and then do my thing. And again, you can just see, like, as you build these things out, this all just becomes so much easier to work with. And this all just becomes so much simpler to build. Now, let's say that what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add this. I'm going to reopen it back up just to kind of nuke some of those things at the top and simplify it as I've been mucking around here. Let's go ahead and say add milestone, or no, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say just whatever. I'll do 5 days after. And actually, you can see here, it put that in between because 1 week is after 5 days. So it kind of keeps it chronological here for you. 5 days after, I want to schedule something. And again, this may not be the greatest implementation from a lead workflow standpoint, but I'm going to go schedule a custom date. And I'm going to choose a date there. I'm going to choose an email to send that. And I'm going to go ahead and create a date because I don't have one created on here yet. So I'm going to create a pre-wedding or meet and greet. So I'm going to create that. So it's going to automatically try to schedule. It's going to send an email to schedule that meet and greet for the client, which is, again, great. You can automate all of that, which you couldn't do it from before. So that is a new feature. Super excited for that. But what's really cool about this is, check this out. Now that I've got this in here to schedule that meet and greet, it also added a new milestone up here for the meet and greet. So now I can add things both before and after the meet and greet. So not only can I schedule the meet and greet automatically through here, but I can create a whole bunch of things before, after, reminders, questionnaires, emails, anything that I want before and after that meet and greet. I can say 1 week before, then, send this email that's all about whatever. I don't have the email template in here, but, setting expectations or doing whatever. And I want to say 1 day before, remind myself, don't forget to buy fresh flowers. So you can just do like simple things like that. You know, one day after or 1 week after. Maybe I don't want that to be 1 week. I'm going to make that 1 day after. Then send thank you message. So you can kind of do all those things. And that's all going to happen in relation to the meet and greet that's being scheduled automatically from this part of the workflow. So you can just see like how more powerful this becomes and how easy this is to work with as you build through these things with your clients. Now, one of the things that we built that I think is super slick is this little preview button. So as you're kind of looking at this and you're still seeing the add buttons, you're still seeing all the controls of the UI on here. If you want to kind of just like strip that stuff out and just look at the actual sort of workflow, the customer journey that's going to happen, then just click that preview button. And now you can kind of see it void of any of the UI that we have to build in here to allow you to edit these things. So you can look at this and really quickly understand exactly what's going on in this customer journey for your clients. Now I'm going to go on and maybe just show you one of the more advanced pieces that we built here, which is the ability to sort of have nested tasks and nested actions. So if I click on any one of these, you can see that there's a button here that says add follow-up action. So if I click that, I can say, okay, I'm going to send this email. Now, either immediately after I send that email or after a certain amount of time, let's just say 1 day after I send that, I'm going to click done. It's going to now create this little nested section here. So now I can say, okay, well, 1 day after I send that email, maybe I'm going to add a task for myself, text the couple. Cool. Now I can do that. I can also do something else. So I can do another thing in parallel. DM the couple on Instagram. Again, this may not be the most useful workflow in the world, but what's going to happen here is if I click preview just to kind of look at this without all the tools in here, you can see that I'm going to send an email, and then a day later, both of those things are going to happen at the exact same time. So send email, which is then what's going to happen right away. 1 day later, do these two things at the same time. Now, again, what's really cool is now I can build a nested task within this right here. So I can say add follow-up action to this and say, well, I want 1 week after that thing is done, then go ahead and send this other email. And then I can add another delay and say, well, 1 week after that, I want to do this other thing. Do this other thing. And I can go on and on and on and on and build these to be really, really robust. But yet, as I look at it here, it's really easy to understand what's going on. It's really clear to see what's happening, when things are happening, what kind of experience my client is going to get. It's all broken down per milestone, so you can really clearly understand, what's happening and when in relation to what. And all of that just makes it so much easier to build, so much easier to edit, so much easier just to understand what's going on with your customer journey. And again, you can see here, as I build one, with a handful of steps, it's still really clear and still really easy. Yet at the same time, I think maybe now it's clear why mapping these things out on paper makes so much more sense as opposed to trying to build these things with the tool first, because then you're like, you go add an email and you're like, oh, right, I have to go write the email template first and yada, yada, yada. So we have a help doc, we have a blog post, we have a video, we have a fillable PDF that we've made that walks you through that process, because our recommendation is to actually go and make those templates first. And that way you have your email templates, you have your questionnaire templates, you have your contract templates. All of that is already created for you. So that's, I'm going to close this here because I want to go into a shoot workflow here and just kind of show a couple of other options here as I do this. And as I go here, let's go shoot date. Let's go before 1 week before. I'm going to go ahead. These are some of the new options that we have. So send contract, for example. This is where you can send a contract. This might be really great if you are using a scheduler to schedule some other kind of date and you want to have a contract just for that date. You can do that. So you can choose the contract template that you want to have in here. You can choose the email that you want to send it with. And again, if you click advanced settings here, you can kind of get a little bit more granular with some more advanced power user settings, conditions, require approval, so on and so forth. But you can do all that with ease. And so you can kind of build things like that. You can add things before, you can add things after. And yeah, it just becomes so much easier to work with. Schedule a custom date here. Let's choose this. I'm gonna create a new date, my date. And you can just see how nice and simple it is for you to work with. And again, even just like removing things is so simple. I can just click this and click remove, and it removes it. I can click this, remove. Nice and simple. Keeps it straightforward. You can add things before, add things after. You can always come in here and add things in between. Oops, that's going to be number 1, number 2. There we go. So it kind of keeps it nice and straightforward. I'm just going to kind of look through the comments here and see what questions I can answer. Assuming we'll be able to see future dates and tasks in the dates tasks. Yes. So as soon as you apply the workflow, the same way it works right now, it's going to be applied, and you can see things that are happening in the future for all of that. Yep. All that sounds good. Awesome. Yeah, so anyways, guys, that is, let's kind of flip back over here to my face. Hello. There is a quick sort of like tease, a preview of what's happening with the new workflows. As you can see, it's there, it's working, it's functional, it's beautiful. It is well past tier 2 testing internally with our team. So we have like a QA team, and then we have the support team that runs through it. And then sort of as we get into the final stages, which is, getting the assets together, making screenshots, building help docs, making videos, all of that kind of stuff. Really, the product team is now done with it. They're just sort of tidying up their code, making sure integrations all work, all of that. That's where we're at now. So it is truly just around the corner. It is working now. You can use this in your business right now if you wanted to. You can't, but you could. So we are within a very short window of having this in your hands. So I did see a couple questions about migrations again in here, like using old workflows and so on and so forth. I said it at the beginning, but just in case you missed it, old workflows will automatically work with the new workflow builder. That was actually one of the things that took us the most amount of time to do, is to support old workflows, because we didn't want you to have to do things manually. We didn't want to break old workflows or have to create a new one and then support both at the same time. It just would have been really cumbersome. So we built this so that all of your old workflows, when you open it up after we launch, will just open up in this new builder, and you can just work with it as if you had built it in the new builder. So that's going to be really seamless for you and really simple for you. And then existing workflows that you've applied to your shoots won't be touched. Nothing will be edited. Everything will be the same. So it'll be nice and straightforward for you. So you can kind of keep working in your business as is and nothing changes. Or if you're ready to dive in and build some new workflows, then you are ready to go. So hope that was helpful. I hope that you love it. I hope that you are excited about these as we are. Again, as always, we are always here. We're always listening. We're always open to feedback. If you want to share any feedback, we'd love to hear it. You know that like we always build things here at Sprout in an iterative way, which means we sort of like build something and then add to it, then add to it, then add to it. And we're always here listening to you. If you're in our group, if you got our email this morning, we're already kind of poking and asking some questions about some things that we're looking at building next for you. And we always go back to you to get feedback on those kinds of things. So we like to say that we build in front of our users, like we build with you, sort of we collaborate with you on what you want us to build. And then we build it and we do it in a way that we get feedback from you. So if you go back and watch the video when I first demoed the UI interface of this back in the springtime, we took all your feedback and then made those changes. And so that's a big part of our process. And yeah, we're excited that you are here and excited that you are watching this and that you are hopefully, again, as excited about workflows as we are. Otherwise, keep an eye on the Facebook page, the Facebook group rather, in your email. We will keep you updated once we have a launch date, and looking forward to seeing what you do with workflows. Otherwise, have a great day. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for spending some time with me on Thursday if you're live, and if you're watching the replay, thank you for hanging out either way, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.